When a black man says, give me liberty or give me death, he is judged a criminal, and everything possible is done to make an example of him so there won't be any more like him.
The story of the Negro in America is not a pretty story.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
So
Hi, thank
the
you.
book, Remember This House is based on the documentary I Am Not Your Negro. Is there any intent on releasing the unfinished book?
Well, actually, the book is not a book. It's basically notes, notes and a few letters. The idea of the film came from the book that was not finished or not even written, and the film is the result of that. It's my attempt to second guess Baldwin and fabricate that book that would have been a masterpiece, I think, about those three friends, Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X.
Awesome, thank you. What is the inspiration behind the title, I Am Not Your Negro?
Well, we worked for 6 years with the title Remember This House, but at some point I felt it needed too much explanation to tell all the metaphor that Remember This House meant, and I wanted to find a title that would match, I would say, James Baldwin directness and raw language, and I think the title I'm Not Your Negro is not apologetic, and it's direct. It says what the film is without being insulting, and it's raised questions, which is good for the film.
Awesome. Please tell us about the process for retrieving the images and the videos used in the documentary.
Well, I had several archivists working with me along the years. It was a long process, and it was a complicated process because between getting the rights, getting the right footage, the right quality, also getting the footage that I need for the text, which was the primary element, the text, the James Baldwin text. All those voices that you hear are straight Baldwin. I didn't invent any terms. I didn't add up any text. So I needed to really have the accurate archive, some of which by the way, we colored, and others we turned to black and white. So it was important to have this unlimited freedom in the use of those archives.
James Baldwin takes a visit to the South with Medgar, and he says that he realizes that he's a witness and there's an actor. Can you tell us about how that witness and actor phrase relates to modern times?
Well, it's a typical issue for artists, in particular when you are politically engaged artists, where you are afraid that your art will become just pamphlet or journalistic record. And James Baldwin was torn between those two movements, being called all the time for research, for us to come as a witness. And James Baldwin was one of the most famous African American at the time. He had access to newspaper, he had access to TV. So it was important that he can come down to the South and really take back what he was seeing as a witness. But at the same time, he was himself a victim of it. He was himself really suffering from it. So he had to find a place, but I think he found a way back and forth between those two extreme positions. And finally, he left us, great writings from it.
And lastly, why do you think this is important now?
Well, I started the film 10 years ago, so I didn't, I never imagined it would be that timely. I knew that it was time to have a real conversation again. It was time to make a real assessment of what had really happened those last 20 or 30 years, and that this is so upfront now. I, of course, never guessed that and never expected that. But all along those last years, I really knew that we really had something strong and that needed to be, and that Baldwin voice was really needed and is not only timely but also accurate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.